pretty laid back here today, but Andrew will give the overview of his business and his background, and then we'll spend 22 minutes in questions and dialogue. So with that, it is a 1 million cups tradition to give a standing ovation to welcome our guests. So everybody please stand and welcome Andrew Jones, the Activated Research Company.
Wow, I did not expect that.
Oh, by the way, Titans of Tech here present with us today in the Sun Country, or the Sun Current newspaper. So Andrew has won a number of awards, and I wanted to give that to you too, so you have that to take away. So
great. Well, thank you, and thank you for the warm welcome. Patrick roped me into this. I met him at Clean Tech Open. And I'm happy to be here to kick off the inaugural Eden Prairie 1 million cups, which is right in my backyard. And it's also my inaugural 1 million cups meeting. So this is going to be a fun ride. So be gentle. It sounds like it's 6 minutes and we hold questions till the end.
I have a broom, so if you go over.
Okay, yeah, just whack me on the head. So my name is Andrew Jones. I'm with Activated Research Company. We're out here in Eden Prairie, Minnesota off of Mitchell Drive. And we have invented a scientific device that helps scientists analyze the chemicals that are in stuff. And I'll get to what that means in a little bit. So let me get a show of hands. How many of you have children or grandchildren? Almost everyone. So this is my son, Owen. And as all of you know, these kids, he's 16 months old, get into everything. And as a chemist, I know that all these things he touches on a daily basis, they expose him to different levels and amounts of different chemicals, some harmful, some not. And it's the job of us scientists to determine what's safe, what quantities are in there, and what is he going to be exposed to on a regular basis. Now, the challenge is the complexity of all of this analysis. So it may be formaldehyde coming off of your carpets, it may be toluene in your paints. There are tens of thousands of scientists around the world working to determine what's in these mixtures, but they need help. So the problem with chemical analysis is complexity. If my son Owen wants to analyze what's in this paint, looking at toluene or another chemical, he would need to buy one of these, which is a gas chromatograph. It's about $40,000 to $60,000. He would then need to purchase calibration standards for that toluene in 5 different concentration increments, inject them in this instrument, make a calibration curve, analyze the results, and then repeat this 10 to 100 times per paint sample just to get the complete makeup for all of those chemicals that are in that paint. That's extremely time-consuming, expensive, and requires highly trained technical personnel. Owen couldn't do this. He's only 16 months old. We'll give him time. With our solution that we've invented, we reduce all molecules to methane so that detection is simplified. And by doing this, our customers see a reduction in analysis time by up to 98%. They see a reduction in the cost of analysis by up to 80%. And they see a reduction in man-hours by up to 86%. This is a drastic change, step change in chemical analysis. We have over 100 customers that have validated this value proposition. So what is this magical device that can do all of this? Well, it's what we call the polyarc reactor cartridge. It's this small reactor. This is blown up. It's only about 2 inches by 1 inch, and it's stainless steel. And what it does is your chemicals come in, and using our patent-pending catalysts, my background is chemical engineering, catalysis, we do chemical reactions to transform all compounds into methane so you can detect them with the same sensitivity. We also use 3D printed reactor design. So this is the world's first and only 3D printed microreactor. It's pretty cool stuff. This is stainless steel, and layer by layer, we 3D print these to get very accurate control of the internal geometries. So really state-of-the-art manufacturing married with state-of-the-art catalysis. And our customers love it. So we're only about 3 years old, but we've made great progress in a number of different academic, industrial, as well as government laboratories. So anything from NREL, National Renewable Energy Laboratory, to 3M in our backyard, or the University of Minnesota. So this market for chemical analysis is dominated by chromatography, which is actually the science of separating compounds so you can analyze them one by one. Sorry to get technical. But this market is over $7 billion per year, and it's growing at about a 7% CAGR. So in order to tackle such a large market, we've come up with a very focused approach so we don't spread ourselves too thin. We've started with transformer oil gas analysis. So those big transformers, those big boxes you see out in those fields that are stepping voltage down from 100,000 volts down to 10,000 volts or 2,000 volts. Those require these oils, and those oils break down. And over time, they become dangerous. They can explode if there's too much acetylene that builds up. They can also become fouled and reduce their properties of insulation and whatnot. And so they need to analyze those transformer oils regularly. And so our device can help them do that more accurately. Moving from that, we are getting into paints and coatings, where we're developing regulated methods, ASTM methods, to incorporate our technology to analyze paints and coatings more efficiently and with less cost. And then finally moving into flavor and fragrance. So the way they analyze a fragrance today, you take a cosmetic off the shelf and you want to analyze if it's the same as the one before it, or if you want to analyze it so you can copycat it and make a generic at Target, for example. You would actually inject it into that GC and you'd get a bunch of peaks. And right now there's too many compounds for them to calibrate accurately. So they guess what the quantity is based on that signal, and then they'll make a copycat recipe, they'll smell it, and they'll bring in a fancy nose, a guy that gets paid a lot to smell things, and he'll come in and say, oh, you need more D-limonene, you need less linalool, and he'll try to tune it with his nose and get it just about right, but it's never right, because this thing that you started with was incorrect. So with our technology, they can get an accurate measure right off the bat, and unfortunately, that guy's going to lose his job. But there's not many of them, so he'll find other work, I'm sure. And then with that, we can move into other industries where chemical analysis is important, anywhere from pharmaceuticals to chemicals to biofuels, which is really where this technology was founded, was to determine how to analyze biofuels in a more efficient way. So we speculate that the polyarc is about a $1 billion opportunity. Now, with all that, our competition has changed. There are no other companies that have a product that claim to do what we can do yet. Our competition is changing the minds and the methods of the industry that have been prevalent for about 60 years. And that's not an easy task. A lot of these calibration methods are written into the firmware of our scientists, and education has to be a huge backbone of our company. So we have done this with a three-prong approach. We focused on technical journals, which is where scientists learn about new technologies and trust what is coming out, that it's going to work. Also key influencers. We've worked with a number of professors and industry champions to be vocal about the technology, but we need more. And also awards. We have an award strategy, really, to gain credibility and visibility in different markets, anywhere from the Techni Award here to R&D 100 and the Gulf Coast Conference, which you probably haven't heard of, but that's a big oil industry conference. And so we've done very well with these things, but we need help. And so part of my ask to the community here will be to help us find those key influencers, those customers that can try out a new technology and are willing to open their minds to something that's different than what they've been doing for 60 years. So it's true crossing the chasm sort of change. So the story of Activated Research Company actually begins about 8 years ago when I met Brad Cleveland at the University of Minnesota. He was my mentor. And so we hit it off through what was then the Carlson Mentorship Program. I was actually a student of the Institute of Technology at the time. And we talked about starting a company, but he was the CEO of Proto Labs at the time, which all of you have heard of. And so the timing wasn't quite right. I went off to grad school, got my PhD in chemical engineering at Berkeley. He stayed and took Proto Labs public in what was Minnesota's most successful IPO of Proto Labs. It was about a $2 billion valuation. So after that, we both came, I came back to Minnesota, he was done with that, and we decided it was time to start a company. So we co-founded Activated Research Company together in July of 2014. Brad unfortunately passed away last year due to health complications. He had had brain tumors for a long time, but he left the company with an amazing foundation for success and taught me everything I know about being a CEO and a leader in a small company. So today there's 6 of us with a range of experience and a number of advisors with MBAs, PhDs, and raw talent to boot. So from sales to R&D, we're continuing to innovate and make new products and bring them to the scientific community with a foundation of catalysis, chemical engineering, and chemical analysis. We're also right here in your guys' backyard.